Hello, Professor. My name is David Sousa, and I am part of Team Fantastic Four. Before we get started, I wanted to introduce each of our team members. Again, my name is David Sousa. In addition to me, we had Cody, Ansley, and Santa, all made up of Team Fantastic Four. Throughout the rest of the video, we plan to discuss the tasks that were accomplished in each one of the chapters and a little bit about what each of us learned about project management. I myself will be discussing both chapters 10 and 11, Santa, chapters 5, 8, and 9, Ansley, chapters 4, 12, and 13, and Cody will be discussing chapters 6 and 7. We hope that you enjoy the video, and thank you again for being our professor this semester. Hello again, Professor. My name is David Sousa, and I'm going to be discussing both chapters 10 and 11, along with the tasks that we accomplished in each one of these chapters. I did make myself some notes, so glance down every now and then to take a look at them. For chapter 10, task number 1, we prepared a partial communications management plan to distribute information to the team members throughout the team project. We wanted to make sure that we got the information across to each one of the team members. For Chapter 10, Task 2, we prepared a template and sample of a weekly progress report for our project. What this looked like was basically a template of what a weekly project update would be. For Task 3 in Chapter 10, we prepared a paper that listed 2 suggestive approaches or how to best communicate with a hard-to-get-along worker or hard-to-communicate employee. What we did is we first recommended setting a set of ground rules at the start of the meeting. This way, they'll know exactly how the meeting's expected to run. Secondly, we then need to emphasize a meeting agenda. We want to make sure that we can discuss right at the beginning of the meeting, the agenda of the meeting, what we expect the outcomes to be, and even some of the time allotments for each one of those areas. Moving on to Chapter 11, Task 1, we created a risk registry probability that went over some of the 6 risks that we felt could be an issue. Risk 1 for that would be an inadequate status report. You have to have an adequate status report in order to communicate with your team members. Risk 2 was testing may not be adequate or complete. Again, something that needs to be done and proper. Risk 3 would be non-participation from the human resource department. It's important to have all departments on board. 4 would be the difficulty to work with a member or a person in the group. You need to make sure that you have the cooperation with each and everybody involved. 5 would be less than absentee. Basically what we're indicating there is somebody missing from the meeting, somebody missing from the team, somebody that just doesn't show up or just doesn't do what they're supposed to. That's puts a hinder then on the project itself. And then 6 would be if the employees got healthier than what we expected. A positive risk there, of course. So, Task 2, Chapter 11, we plotted the 6 risks then on an impact matrix and provided them a scale of 1 to 10 in order of what we felt best fit that task itself. That risk itself. For Task 3, Chapter 11, we went on and we developed a response strategy for 2 of the risks. 2 of the risks that we chose to talk about were both Risk 1 and Risk 3. 1 positive, 1 negative, basically in order to try to give further information on them and what our strategy was to approach those. I will tell you that throughout this course and throughout the time in the project I've actually learned quite a bit about how important project management is. I've never had much experience with project management, but After this course, I definitely feel like I could tackle some specific items or things given to me at work that I definitely would not have known before. I also have seen, while using the Microsoft project, how detailed and how informational it can be in distributing data to each one of the members of the groups. Definitely something I've seen and enjoyed was the fact that I can then select a deadline or a scale on what we expect to get done, the outcome, what we expect the cost of the project to be, and definitely some items that I look to carry forward with me in my both my school career and professional career in the future. It's been a pleasure being in your course, and my fellow teammates will continue on with the next portion, both chapters that we haven't discussed so far in this video. Thank you again, and talk to you later.
Hi, Professor. My name is Ainsley Webb from Team Fantastic Four. I shall be speaking to you about the documents produced for the Recreation and Wellness Intranet project in the knowledge areas of Project Integration Management, Project Procurement Management, and Project Stakeholder Management. Project Integration Management. This involves the coordination on a continuing basis of all the other knowledge areas within a project's life cycle. There were 5 deliverables produced for the running case in the Project Integration Management knowledge area. Document number 1. A financial analysis was used to narrow the list of potential projects by strategically applying financial tools to evaluate the viability of each of the 4 projects under consideration by the organization. This was prepared for top management in the form of a memo. Document number 2. A weighted scoring model was used to evaluate various projects where all projects were evaluated based on common relevant criterion that were important to the overall objectives of the organization. Document number 3. A business case document was produced to document the justification for the project to decision makers in the organization, and which showed a clear path to a return on investment should a decision to proceed with the chosen project is made. Document number 4. The project charter was used to document the formal existence of the Recreation and Wellness Intranet project within the organization, and provided guidance as to the project's objectives, duration, cost, and management. Document number 5. A change request was initiated to document changes to the Recreation and Wellness Intranet project with the objective of identifying, evaluating, and managing changes to ensure that changes are beneficial to the project. Project Procurement Management. This involves the required processes that needed to be utilized in the acquisition of goods or services from an external source for a project within an organization. There were 3 deliverables produced for the running case in the Project Procurement Management knowledge area. Document number 1. An in-house training decision document was prepared to support the decision on whether or not the company should itself provide in-house training or depend on an external organization to perform the training services needed for the project. Document number 2. A weighted scoring model was used to evaluate various alternatives to supply the training required for the Recreation and Wellness Intranet project based on common relevant criterion to the company. Document number 3. Potential contract clauses to the seller were drafted, which would be effective in convincing the seller to lower health premium cost and also the benefit of providing health insurance to a much healthier body of employees as a result of the effectiveness of the project. Project Stakeholder Management. This involves identifying the people or organizations that are affected by the project so that their expectations regarding the project can be analyzed and also engaging them in project decisions during the project. There were 3 deliverables produced for the running case in the Project Stakeholder Management knowledge area. Document number 1. A stakeholder register was produced to document information regarding the stakeholder's position in the company, project role, and contact information for each stakeholder. Document number 2. A stakeholder management strategy was done to include all stakeholders in order to effectively interact with them to make sure that they were adequately informed of the progress, issues, or necessary changes in the project so that good decisions can be made during the project. Document number 3. An issue log was prepared to document, monitor, and track issues for issues that needed resolution which came up during the project. It was a pleasure being in this class, as I have learned much when it comes to project management, which will surely help me in my career as a software developer. I especially see the power of Microsoft Project as a helpful and powerful tool in managing projects. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sana Savik. I'm going to be talking about Chapter 5, that's Project Scope Management. Scope actually refers to all the work that includes in creating the product of the project and the processes used to create them. A deliverable is a product produced as a part of the project, such as the hardware, the software, the planning documents, the meetings, and all that stuff. Project scope management actually has a process that it goes through that includes planning scope. Planning scope basically is like the project team uses expert judgment to meet and develop like two important outputs, like the scope management plan and then the requirement management plan. The other step is collecting requirements, all the documents, the data, defining the documents, the features, the functions that's going to be used to actually produce the product during the project itself, and actually what's going to be used in order to create the project itself. The third one is defining scope. That's actually reviewing the project, the required documents, the organization to put everything together, to create kind of like a scope statement, the intro statement, kind of like that, and then the conclusion also. The other step after that comes is creating a WBS, that is actually subdividing the major project deliverables into like smaller portions so they can be managed more properly. Like the management complement, what's going to be like certain areas, so certain people are going to actually work on the main idea of it, so they can actually focus on only the main idea what it is, instead of actually looking through the whole thing. After that comes validating scope. That's actually formalizing the acceptance of the project deliverables, making sure that everything is valid, there's nothing wrong with it. And then the last part is controlling scope. That's actually, if you have to, controlling scopes actually changes the project scope throughout the life of the project, so where it began and then how it ended. So that's basically what it is. That's what the chapter is basically what it's about. Like in definition and conclusion, project scope management includes like the process required to ensure that the project addresses all the work required and only the work required to complete the project successfully. So that's what chapter 5 is about. Thank you. Chapter 8 is project quality management. That's actually said by ISO, the International Organization of Standardization, define quality as being the degree to which a set of inherent characteristics fulfill requirements. Project quality management actually ensures that the project will satisfy the need for which it was undertaken. There's a process for it. The process includes planning, quality management, that actually identify which quality standards are relevant to the project and how to satisfy them. There's a metric, that is a standard of measurements that's used. The second one is performing quality insurance, periodically evaluating overall project performance to ensure that the project will satisfy what the relevant quality standard is. To actually verify, there is actually 3 things that actually is needed. That is actually quality insurance, benchmarking, and then quality audit. That's basically what it needs. The third one that we have for it is performing quality control. That's actually monitoring the project result to ensure that they comply with the relevant quality standards. That would be the main output a quality control, acceptance decision, and then rework, and then process adjustments that needs to be done. That's basically what the overall of project quality management is. Inclusion, that basically is to ensure that the project will satisfy the needs of which it was undertaken. Chapter 9 is actually about human resource management. Many corporations have said that people are the most important assets. People determine the success and the failure of an organization or a project. Making the most effective use of the people involves, like, there's another procedure that's used for this one also for human resource management that includes planning human resources management, that's identifying and then documenting project roles, responsibilities, and reporting relationships, acquiring the project team, getting the needed personnel assigned to and work on the project, and then developing a project team, building individuals, getting them who has the better skills to enhance the performance of a project, managing the project team, tracking what's everybody's performance, who's working on what, like timely feedback, resolving issues, conflicts, coordinations, meetings, whatever is needed for that. That's basically what the main purpose of human resources management is. For that one, for conclusion, for management, human resources management is basically involving a process that requires to make sure that everything is done properly, efficiently, and then basically the main important people that's involved in the project to make sure the project goes really well. That is the conclusion for chapter 9. Thank you.
My name is Cody Chase. I will be going over chapters 6 and 7. In chapter 6, we went over project time management. We used a WS sheet, a work breakdown sheet. We set project milestones. We set a Gantt chart, and we set task assignment charts. In the WS sheet, we broke down what would be needed for the end goal of the project. In the milestone, we set up where we would like to be at each point of the project. By doing this, it allows us to see if we are reaching our goals throughout the term. In the Gantt chart, we were able to break down where we wanted time spent and who we wanted it spent on. This allows us to see how long each thing will take, how long we would like it to take, and the total time the project would take to finish. In the task assignment chart, we broke down what every item needed during the project, who would do it, the hours and hours per day, and the number of days it would take. We were then able to see the total hours and the cost. By doing this, it lets us see how much time needed and the initial starting cost to get the project going. In chapter 7, we went over project cost management. In this, we created a cost model, a cost baseline, and a variance and index calculation sheet. In the cost model, we went over what costs there are, the time needed for all those costs, and the cost per hour. And we're able to see how much of each item would be our total. In the cost baseline, we were able to break down each item per month to see the cost of it, and then get the totals per month and over the whole time. This allows us to see every step of the project and how much it will cost us along the way, as well as our total cost. In the variance and index sheet, we took the estimated cost and the actual cost and figured out the difference. Doing this allows us to see how much we are saving or losing per item to see where we need to shift the costs around. In these chapters, we learned how important the time and cost of a project is to see if it will succeed. Thank you and have a great day. Roadie chasing it. We, as a team, had learned how the many factors and tools that could be used in project management that will help us along the way to keep everything on time and budget. With this, we are now all able to create a more accurate set of how a project will go, how to deal with changes throughout it, and how to use different tools to make the process easier. We thank you for teaching us along this term, and we look forward to using everything we learned in the fields of our study. Thank you.